All right, let's kick things off. Today, we're taking a journey into a world that is literally all around us, on us, and even inside of us, yet it's completely invisible. We're about to explore the powerful, microscopic universe of bacteria. The tiny architects that basically built our planet. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with a discovery that just completely flipped our view of life on its head. Then, we'll map out where bacteria fit into the grand scheme of things. From there, we'll zoom all the way in to build a bacterium from the ground up, check out its incredible toolkit, and finally uncover its ultimate survival strategy. Okay, let's start at the beginning. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but for most of human history, our map of the living world, well, it had a huge, invisible continent missing from it. This timeline really shows you the incredible shift in our thinking. Back in 1735, the famous classifier Linnaeus saw just two kingdoms. Simple, right? Plants and animals. But then, thanks to the microscope, we slowly started to see this teeming invisible universe. And by 1990, a guy named Carl Woese used genetic analysis to redraw the entire map of life. He proved this microscopic world wasn't just some little footnote. No way. It was basically 2/3 of the whole story. And that completely changed how we see our own place in it.
So, this huge discovery gives us the modern map of life, which is organized into 3 great domains. Let's take a look at where we, and of course bacteria, fit into this new picture.
Today, all life is sorted into these 3 domains. First, you've got eukarya. That's us, along with all plants and fungi. We're all defined by having complex cells with a nucleus to hold our DNA. Then there are the archaea, who are the absolute masters of living in extreme places. But our focus today is on that 3rd massive domain, bacteria. Simple, single-celled, and you can find them absolutely everywhere. All right, now that we know where bacteria belong, let's zoom in. And I mean way in. We're actually going to build a bacterium from the outside in, just to see what makes this little single-celled machine tick. So first, we need the fundamental blueprint. All bacteria are what we call prokaryotic, and that's a really key term. It basically just means their internal design is beautifully simple. There's no separate room or nucleus for their DNA. It's all just kind of out in the open. You can think of it like an open plan office, a design that's absolutely crucial for their speed and efficiency.
First up, let's build the cell wall. This is a tough, rigid outer layer made of a really unique substance called peptidoglycan. It's this mesh-like molecule that you only find in bacteria. And this isn't just a wall, it's the bacterium's armor. It gives it shape and, really importantly, protects it from bursting. Okay, so just inside that armor, you've got the cell membrane. If the wall is the fortress, then this thin, flexible layer is the security gate. It's semi-permeable, which is just a fancy way of saying it carefully controls what gets in and what gets out. It's the gatekeeper, managing the cell's entire internal environment. Now, let's head inside the cell. Everything is floating around in this jelly-like fluid called the cytoplasm. And right there in the middle, we find the nucleoid. Remember, since there's no nucleus, the nucleoid is just the spot where the cell keeps its entire genetic blueprint all bundled up. And scattered all through that cytoplasm are these tiny little structures called ribosomes. You can think of them as the factory of proteins. These little factories are absolutely essential. They read the genetic code from the DNA, and then they build all the proteins the bacterium needs to function, grow, and just, live. So, we've built our basic bacterium. But it doesn't just sit there like a static blob. Oh no, bacteria are super dynamic, and they have a whole toolkit they use to move around and interact with their world. So let's look at one of their key tools for getting around. Many bacteria have a flagellum. It's basically a long, whip-like tail that spins around like a propeller, pushing the cell through its environment. Some other cool tools they might have are these tiny hair-like things called pili for sticking to surfaces, or maybe even a slimy outer capsule for some extra defense. And what about energy? How do they eat? Well, bacteria are incredibly resourceful. Some of them do photosynthesis, turning sunlight into food, just like plants do. But others have an even more incredible trick up their sleeve called chemosynthesis. Get this, they can take inorganic chemicals straight from their environment, like stuff you'd find near deep-sea vents, and turn that into energy. No sunlight required at all. This incredible adaptability brings us to our final topic, the ultimate bacterial survival strategy. So, what do they do when conditions become not just tough, but totally life-threatening? When things get really bad, some bacteria can form something called an endospore. Now, it's really important to get this. An endospore is not for making more bacteria. It's a tiny, nearly indestructible survival pod with only one purpose: to wait out the storm no matter how long it takes. The process itself, it's called sporulation, and it's just incredible. First, the cell senses a threat. It makes a perfect copy of its DNA and wraps it up in this super tough, almost impenetrable coat. Then, the rest of the original cell just disintegrates, leaving only the dormant endospore behind. It can survive insane heat, radiation, starvation. It's basically entering a state of suspended animation until conditions are finally right for it to come back to life. So, from completely redrawing our map of life to building these nearly indestructible survival pods, bacteria are truly the masters of efficiency and resilience. They are the planet's original pioneers, the architects of the world we all know. So, here's a final thought I want to leave you with. They built our world, and they live inside us every single day. What can we learn from their simple, powerful genius?